songs, let me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
Here we are, Parks and Recreation. Another one of those things that you don't typically think that when you get into this industry, that you're talking about history.
Yeah.
But a lot of times Parks and Rec departments are the holders of your community history. And we build our facilities around that history.
Yeah.
And so you begin to learn about it pretty consistently. And one of the things that I learned as I've been learning about this is that it wasn't about communication. It was really about the fact that there was still a country that needed to be settled.
All right, we are live again here at the Daily Parks and Rec Show Leadership Series. This is Craig LeBlanc with special guest Donnie Hayes, who me and Donnie have been trying to connect for almost an entire year. We were laughing about it offline. I think it had to be like March. I mean, it was.
I don't remember the first time that you reached out to me, because I feel like it actually was.
It's before Traps.
It was before Traps, but
Yeah.
even before that, because at the time I was over the golf course and still dealing with all of the Hurricane Beryl issues.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, Craig, I would love to be on the show, but it's not happening right now.
Getting slammed. I remember. And then I was supposed to see you in Texas and Traps, and I was just slammed at Traps. And then we tried to set something else up, and I had to cancel. And then I don't know, but we this is a big accomplishment, and I got to check it off my 2025 list, which was get Donnie.
Yes, I got to talk to Donnie Hayes.
All right. Well, before we get started, I want to play a quick little promo for our one of our lead sponsors, Outdoor Link. They are really helping on, and we're actually creating a show with them. We're going to do a weekly show about smart cities, and
Nice.
we're going to call it Smart Parks. And this is one of those companies that can help you put the entire city on like a cell phone or an iPad, so you can turn off your parks, your lights, your water fountains, your bathroom door locks, whatever. And they've been one of my earliest supporters since the very beginning, wanting to see a great media company highlighting this industry. So I'll play this promo and another promo how strategic partners can get involved in helping us to build this media company. And then we'll come right back and start our conversation with Donnie.
In today's parks and recreation industry, communication, safety, and efficiency go hand in hand. That's where Outdoor Link comes in, delivering smart technology that empowers city departments and community planners to do more, smarter. Outdoor Link's platform connects and automates everything that keeps your parks running smoothly, from lighting and locks to signage, water features, Wi-Fi, and digital advertising. Control and schedule park lights for safety and energy savings. Remotely manage facility access. Update digital displays in real time. Coordinate fountains and splash pads. Provide public connectivity. And even run community or sponsorship campaigns on digital screens, all from one simple, unified platform, giving you real-time control, data, and cost efficiency. For parks and recreation agencies, that means safer spaces, smarter resource use, faster responses, and stronger community engagement. And behind every great park story is great infrastructure. That's why Outdoor Link proudly supports DPRS Media Company, helping the Daily Parks and Rec Show amplify the voices of professionals shaping our communities every day. Outdoor Link, smart, connected solutions for parks, recreation, and beyond.
Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product, growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion Parks and Rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move Parks and Rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.
All right. So, Donnie, tell us what happened for you in 2025? Let's wrap up this year. My second to last show for the whole year.
Shoot.
It's a recap.
2025 has definitely been an interesting year. 2024, 2024. I'd only been in Missouri City for about 6 months. Spent the previous 7 years in Alaska, in Fairbanks, Alaska, and so moved to Missouri City here in Texas. And while I was here, after 6 months, our general manager of our golf course. Now, the golf course we have here in Missouri City is one of the premier. It's actually used to be home to the Houston Open for golf. So one of the very first, planned communities around a golf course, 2 premier courses going on, huge event center that was there, and the general manager decided to leave. And so I was approached by city management and said, "Hey, Donnie, will you go out and take a look at the golf course? Tell us what's going on." Because we just had 2 general managers leave within a year of each other.
Wow.
And so something's happening. Can you please just help us out? So I moved from the Parks and Recreation Department to the golf course, which should have been just a short-term move to just help things keep going and start finding out some of the issues that are there, and to provide a plan to city leadership on how we could move forward and how we could make it a productive facility that leadership could, count on and trust in. Well, within a few months of that, Hurricane Beryl hit and so knocked out our facility. So three large event spaces, our restaurant, and our pro shop completely closed due to mold and contamination of the site from the hurricane and the water and the electrical being off, like all these issues. And so that was closed. Our golf courses themselves were closed because of the damage that was caused. And so at that point, they left me there, and I spent in total just over a year at the golf course until we finally hired a new general manager in 2025, early 2025, and I was able to come back to Parks and Recreation.
Wow. Well, at least all your extensive experience in Alaskan golf courses prepared you for Southern Texas golf course management.
That's funny because that's the types of comments that a lot of the community were saying. They're like,
Right.
"Why is Donnie over here?"
Right.
And what they don't realize is my background in recreation has kind of crossed the whole entire gamut for a long time. And as we know, Craig, Parks and Recreation directors manage golf courses all the time.
Yes.
So it's not really that big of a stretch. Also, just a little plug, my dad was the high school champion in golf in the state of Nevada.
Oh, there you go.
So spent a lot of time in the golf sphere throughout my life, especially playing with my dad and youth programs, and even tried out at one point in time for my high school golf team.
Yes.
My coach did tell me I should stick with water polo, so I did.
Yeah. I think Parks and Rec professionals need like some kind of fire department badge, because they are professionals at putting out the most random catastrophes just as part of their daily routine.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just that, like, there are just random things that happen throughout your career that you're like, "Oh, I never thought that I was going to," and then fill in the blank. I
Throughout
remember the first
your
time
week.
that I managed a cemetery, and I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, I'm going to manage a cemetery."
Right.
Didn't expect that on my bingo
Right.
card.
Yeah, if everything's calm and everything's doing, you need to prepare for something to happen because it's too quiet. You're getting rid of the ambushes with
For sure.
some
Absolutely.
special event or farmer's market that we inherit.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
tell us.
So it's been an interesting 2025 because I came back to Parks and Rec in about April,
Yeah.
but a lot happens in a department in a year.
Yes.
We hired a brand new, recreation superintendent. Staff had come and gone. Changes in expectations had happened. My assistant Parks and Recreation director Danielle did an incredible job
Mm.
keeping things moving forward. But me coming back causes some, concern. It's like, okay, some of us don't even know who Donnie is. We
Mm.
just as the golf course guy, and now he's coming back to Parks and Recreation. And so when you come back into a situation like that, it's really difficult to get back into the groove and also, make sure that you're still blending your leadership style with the style that the department expects. And
Mm.
so it's been definitely an interesting year, one that I saw a ton of successes in and was super happy about.
Mm.
But from a leadership standpoint, there were some moments that were definitely
Yeah.
a struggle.
And so tell us, since this is the whole country's listening here, tell us a little bit about Missouri City. It's not in Missouri. Um,
No, no, it's not.
it's South Texas. It's part of the Houston market. But tell us, somebody that's never been, describe Missouri City to the audience.
Missouri City is an adorable suburb of Houston. So we're south of Houston. We're a part of the Houston Metroplex. So we get a lot of the benefits that come along with being a part of that Metroplex. But we're still a suburb. I like to explain it to people that come to Missouri City, that we're a little bit of an oasis from the concrete jungle of the Houston market.
Mm.
We have a lot of vibrant and strong and old oak trees that
Mm.
really cover the whole entire city. And so you walk down some of these streets where you normally expect the Houston area to be really hot, but because of the coverage of these oak trees, you find these shady spots that you really want to spend time in.
Yeah.
And those shady spots are our parks.
Yeah.
And so we have 25 different parks. We have a couple of different splash pads. We have two different facilities, a recreation and tennis facility that, of course, also has lots of pickleball. And then we also have a community center as well. About 100,000 people in our general community, and a lot of opportunities ahead of us. We have two really big projects that we're currently working on. One that's in the design phase. It's a complete remodel of Stamo Park, which will be cricket, soccer fields, pickleball courts, covered pickleball courts, softball, baseball, bike track, splash pad, playground, new lighting. I mean, like, it's going to be a really amazing piece of property for us, that's currently in the design phase. And then we're also building a brand new park that we call Freedom Tree. And
Mm.
so the cool thing about Missouri City is it does recognize our history. And so part of Missouri City used to be a part of the plantation. And so we have an oak tree that we call the Freedom Tree. And underneath that, historically, it speaks that those who were enslaved on our local plantation actually found out that they were free under that oak tree. And so
Wow.
we celebrate that every year during Black History Month. We actually have one of the longest and oldest Juneteenth celebrations and Black History Month celebrations in the country.
Wow. That's got to be such a huge day to remember. I mean, imagine if you're like enslaved and you just find out, oh, you're free now, free to go, free to face the world like the rest of us. But God, that must have been just that's a huge, when was that event? That must have been what, 18 something?
18, I should know that number. But I mean, what I found interesting, and I just actually learned this history just recently, is that it was multiple years after President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation that happened. And
Mm.
that's why Juneteenth is such a huge celebration, because it was multiple years after Emancipation Proclamation happened that things actually came to Texas and said, "Hey, you're free."
Mm.
So a lot of power behind that.
Yeah, they didn't send out some TikTok video back then.
Mm.
It probably word traveled a little slower, I imagine.
Well, it wasn't even just the word. And we're here we are, Parks and Recreation. Another one of those things that you don't typically think that you when you get into this industry that you're talking about history,
Yeah,
but a lot of times Parks and Rec departments are the holders of your community history, and
yeah,
we build our facilities around that history.
yeah.
And so you begin to learn about it pretty consistently. And so I'm just spending a lot of time talking to the residents and our historians about these types of opportunities. And one of the things that I learned as I've been learning about this is that it wasn't about communication. It was really about the fact that there was still a country that needed to be settled. And so it took time for the little skirmishes that were still happening throughout the South to be controlled so that the Emancipation Proclamation could go into effect.
Mm. Now, all these trees, do you manage them under the Parks and Rec department?
We do. Yep. We actually have a forester
Nice.
on staff. He's like our park superintendent.
Uh-huh.
And so his skill and his training is all about making sure that our community and the trees that are in our community are well preserved, especially the freedom tree.
Yeah.
So historically, throughout the years, you can go into multiple of our parks and you can actually find what we call baby freedom trees,
Mhm.
because we've been growing from seedlings new oak trees and planting them across our whole entire park
No way.
system. It's actually very, very cool.
Oh, I need to come get one. Do y'all
Yeah.
sell 'em?
So we don't right now. Our mother freedom tree
Huh.
is at that point where she did suffer over the last couple of years, had some disease. She has lightning cords all wrapped around her to protect
Mhm.
her, those kinds of things. But she doesn't produce as many acorns as she used to.
Mm.
And so because of that, we only get about 5 or 6 a year. And so we keep those. Right now, we're actually working on a way to actually auction those off as a way to raise funds for our Parks Foundation as well.
Oh, well, I would love to, coordinate. I'm close friends with the New Orleans Park and Rec department here, and, we are also known for these massive 8-foot, 10-foot wide at the base trees. Uh,
Yeah.
maybe I can convince them to, buy one of those and plant it here in New Orleans. I know that
Oh,
would.
that would be awesome, like a sister city.
Yes.
Now we're talking.
Yes.
Yes, I like that idea.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. I grew up in the Oak subdivision in the great city of Port Allen, Louisiana, which is a small little neighborhood outside of Baton Rouge. And so I just grew up around these trees. So you have a master arborist or
We do.
and
Yep.
what's his name?
His name is Paul Wiersbicky.
Paul. How you spell Will that last name?
Wier. Oh, now
Will
you're asking hard. There's a Z in there and then a Bicki.
Wiers. All right. If maybe we can get him on the show because we have a show called the Facilities Maintenance Show, which I'll play a little
Yeah.
promo for that in the middle. And we have had, I think, 6 shows over this last in 2025 dedicated to just arborists, master arborists, tree inventory, how
Mhm.
the whole gambit. And those are some of our best shows. And most people have no idea. Like when they think Parks and Rec, they don't think that you've got bucket trucks and chippers and master arborists managing 20,000 trees scattered throughout the whole city on public land. But that's
Yeah.
usually a big part of
La-
a Parks and Rec department.
Last year alone, we planted over 200 trees in
Wow.
our park system.
Yeah.
Some of those, of course, are memorial trees.
Mhm.
Some of those are volunteer organizations. But yeah, we plant a lot of trees in our system.
Yeah, I'd love to come see that. And just a little history for me, back in a former life when I was just a little bitty tiny vendor, one of my top I would say one of my first 10 clients that bought LED lights from me back when I was a manufacturer, of course, now I just do this full time, was Missouri City. It was like
Oh,
I think maybe 2010.
okay.
And it kinda they were one of the cities that said, "Yeah, we've got this little park," and they bought some lights from me, and I was like, "I just got a city." They're like my 2nd city in Texas. It was like Dallas was first and then y'all. And so I was excited to have, just for me personally, to have Missouri City on. Alright, so take us back. How did you get involved in Parks and Rec? What were you grew did you grow up in Parks and Rec? Did you kinda stumble into this?
I think I don't know. My wife and I laugh about this all the time because I've always been very recreationally minded. From the time I was a kid, my family's always been putting me in programs, tumbling programs, golf programs, little league, swim teams, you name it, the things that we are typically involved in from a recreational standpoint. My parents had me in all of those
What's a
programs.
tumbling program?
So like gymnastics,
No way. I used to do
yeah,
that
so
too. You don't look
I wouldn't say that I was a gymnast.
how old were you when you did that?
Oh gosh, 8,
Great.
9, 10.
Yeah.
But
I used
that's
to
one of
teach.
those programs that, I was not good at.
Yeah, me neither.
It's funny because you would think that the sports that I actually played, I'd have a lot of upper arm strength,
Mhm.
but like trying to climb the rope in the gym,
Mhm.
pull-ups, not so much, not my
Yeah.
thing.
It's those little guys that I was a Kentucky cheerleader in a former life in college, and, all those girls had been doing gymnastics since they were born, and then they were like, "Okay, you have to do some of these tumbling skills at, 200 pounds," trying to follow these gymnasts. It was quite comical.
Oh, well, I wanna see some of those videos, Craig, that's for sure.
Yes, I'll have to dig those up, and then I ended up teaching that, at Elite Gymnastics in Baton Rouge, but I was just have a huge amount of respect for anybody that's in gymnastics. That has gotta be one of the hardest, athletic disciplines out there.
Yeah, oh, I absolutely agree. Throughout my professional career, I've had tumbling and gymnastics programs. Um, one of my instructors when I worked in Southern Utah in Washington City, he was a former national champion for the BYU men's gymnastics program. And the guy was older than me and way more limber. And he would do these backflips. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, how? How
Ow.
does that even work?
Yep. Yeah, it kinda reminds me, I live literally 100 feet from a little hot yoga studio, and it never fails. I end up next to this old person that's been doing this since they were born, and they hit these stances and poses. I'm like, "How are you even able to get your body in that position and do a handstand and all this kinda stuff?" It's just crazy what people
Yeah.
can do. Um,
But so for me, like I did all the youth stuff.
mhm,
As I graduated from high school, I coached water polo. I was a part of the Boy Scouts of America, so I did all kinds of aquatics, programming for them. I even actually served as an aquatics director on Catalina Island at a Boy Scout camp for a couple of summers, which was both of these were amazing programs and definitely parts of a career. But I saw both of those as part-time gigs. Those
mm,
were not things that I could do full time and definitely knew that I wasn't gonna make money. Honestly, if I could have made money in, scouting, doing aquatics, and living on Catalina, I'd still probably be living on
wow,
Catalina Island today. But I knew that that wasn't gonna be the case, and so I had in my mind, honestly, for a long time that Parks and Recreation doesn't make money,
yeah,
because that was kind of my experience going forward. So I was going to be a dentist. So I even went
mm,
to college and was a part of my college's like presidency for the dental society. Spent a lot of time doing that, and my wife just kept on saying, "Donnie, you're never going to be happy doing dental
yeah,
work. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to be happy doing it." She's like, "You should go into Parks and Recreation." And we, of course, had a Parks and Recreation degree at BYU, Idaho, Brigham Young University, Idaho. And
Mm.
she said, you should go into that. And I fought it for a long time because there's no money in parks and recreation.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to take care of my family. At that time, I had 3 kids already.
Mhm.
And she's like, but we'd rather you be happy.
Yeah.
We'd
Well,
rather you be.
at least all those dental credits transferred nicely into Parks and Rec.
They did, absolutely. And actually, I also had a minor in business.
Oh,
So when
nice.
I finally did switch over to Parks and Recreation, I had 2 minors, exercise science, business, and then I had my outdoor recreation degree. So
Now, where did you
it
grow
worked
up
out really
at?
nicely.
Was
What?
that you grew up in Idaho, or is that kind of just where
I
you
didn't. I actually grew up in California, so I'm a California kid.
Man, you've been traveling. So what I'm hearing, California, Idaho, Alaska, Texas, that's kind of been your 4 states, or are there
Uh,
others?
Utah, St. Louis. I lived in St. Louis, worked for the city of O'Fallon for a while. Also lived for 2 years in the state of North Carolina while I served a 2-year mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
No way.
So I've kind of been all over the states for sure.
Wow, fantastic. All right, so then what was your first, like, official job in Parks and Rec? What did you do? What state? Where were you?
State of Idaho. So I was still in college at the time,
Mhm.
and I was offered a position for an internship slash part-time position as the overseer of our Nordic center, which was an ice skating rink and then Nordic skiing along a golf course in the city of Rexburg, Idaho. And so
Mm.
I actually spent quite a few years there because even when I graduated from BYU, Idaho, I was offered a full-time position with the city of Rexburg as their recreation coordinator, overseeing their marathon and their triathlon and all their 5Ks, and then also during the summertime as their assistant parks director, and then doing also during the wintertime, I was working for Public Works. So
Mm.
I had this really interesting position with multiple bosses, but I got to see so many different aspects
Yeah.
of Parks and Recreation. It was probably one of my favorite experiences, and I felt really, really lucky to have been able to be offered that position and to be able to work under one of my favorite mentors, Jack, who I'm still in contact with even today.
Wow. Is he retired now, or is he still in Parks and Rec?
So he's in the corporate end of Parks and Recreation.
Mm.
He lives in South Dakota nowadays and owns an RV campsite.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Parks and Rec people are kinda like the Swiss Army, like, the director's like a Swiss Army knife. You gotta have so many skills, uh,
Yes.
to be able to run a Parks and Rec department. Okay, so then after Idaho, what was your next move?
Recreation manager for the city of, well, for Washington City in southern Utah.
Mhm.
And I spent about 4 years there. We opened up a brand new recreation center, 110,000 square feet, full aquatic center, splash pad, plus 3 indoor basketball courts, fitness court, weight room area, upstairs, walking track, and spent a lot of time, really in the programming and special event side of that facility for those years.
Yeah.
But it took a toll. There's times in your career where, and I was young enough at that time that I didn't realize that working 60, 70, 80 hours a week because I really wanted everything to be just perfect,
Mhm.
um, caused issues not only just physically for me and emotionally, but also at home as well. And so, like, if there's one thing that people, when I come and talk to people, that I want them to understand is that their work is really important, and making sure that that is balanced with their home life,
Mhm.
especially early on in your career, and figuring out how to make sure that things work smoothly and effectively and you're using your time wisely. If you can figure that out early on, you'll provide yourself a whole lot of opportunities to enjoy life and not have the heartache that I felt for a lot of years.
Yeah, that was good for you to learn that lesson early on because Parks and Rec can just I mean, it can dominate every holiday, every weekend, every evening. There's always something going on, and if you don't have a way to discipline yourself to unplug for a minute, you'll just be nonstop Parks and Rec.
Yeah. But understand, Craig, that I'm still not perfect at it.
Yep, yep,
My staff will tell you, they'll be like, Donnie, stop. Just
yep.
stop.
Well, at least you've got some people on staff that are kinda looking out for you saying, "Hey, you look like you need some time off. You're burning out."
I have the best staff. I really
Yeah.
do. They are incredible. And I absolutely love working with them.
Yeah. While we got you on the topic of Utah, for those who haven't been, it is a stunning state to just the scenery is gorgeous. I have 2 close friends that live right outside of Deer Valley. I think is there a little city called is it Heber? Heber?
Heber
Heber.
City. Yep.
Yes. Oh, it's just stunning. Right up there in the mountains. It's gorgeous. If you hadn't had a chance to visit, why don't you give a quick sales pitch for Utah since you lived there for a little while?
Well, see, now here's the thing is as a California boy,
Mhm.
I didn't ever want to live in the snow. So I told my wife that
gosh.
the only place that I would ever live in Utah is southern Utah,
Oh my gosh.
which like St. George and Washington City are only about an hour and a half outside of Vegas.
Mhm.
So the weather is just beautiful all year round. And I will say that southern Utah, which like covers the gamut, right? Where I live by Vegas is beautiful. You have Moab on the other side, which is
Mm.
gorgeous with the arches, and then you have Zion's right there as well, the national park. Like if you haven't driven into Utah and spent some time, there are so many different beautiful places to be able
Yes.
to visit and recreate.
Yeah.
Utah really is a stunning place to go, and I absolutely would suggest it. I was
Yeah.
actually excited about NRPA going to be in Salt Lake because that was actually the very first NRPA that I ever attended.
Really?
And I actually sat on the committee that created that Salt Lake NRPA conference back in what 2008, 2009, I think it was. And so I was really excited to actually go back because Salt Lake really just has the mountains right there. It
Yep.
is beautiful, especially during that fall time of year. And so I was excited. But guess what? Houston next year.
That's
so
it.
I'm looking forward to everyone coming to my neck of the woods instead.
Yeah, so it was going to be in Salt Lake and they had to change it. Was it because they were I think aren't they building something that's just not ready yet?
Yeah, there's a
Hosting?
remodel on the convention center that needs
Yeah,
to take place.
yeah.
So,
That's
but
good.
that's okay. Houston's really excited. We're
Yeah.
so pumped about what we're going to be able to provide to all of our parks and recreation professionals throughout the U.S.
Yeah. Now Houston's, is this how often have they hosted? I know they're
I know it. I know they had it in Houston a few years ago, but I
Mhm.
don't know how often it has been.
Yeah, yeah. Alright, so then Utah, what's happening after that? What's your
So
next
after Utah, and I'm starting to realize that I need to spend time, more with my family. We'd actually moved to Alaska,
No way.
and we moved to a little tiny town called Petersburg, 3,000 people on an island, southeast Alaska, below Juneau. And I moved there actually to open up a sport fishing lodge with my family. And so we worked that for 6 years while we were there in Petersburg. After the first year, the mayor actually came to me and was like, "Hey, Donnie, our Parks and Recreation director is moving." And funny enough that they're moving to Mongolia. And
Wow.
like, who says, "Oh, hey, by the way, I'm moving from Alaska to Mongolia."
Right.
But they did, and the mayor was like, "We would be really interested if you would apply to be our new Parks and Recreation director. We know you have the history." And I spent a lot of time hemming and hawing about it because the reason that I had left the industry was because I was worried about what I could provide for my family,
Mm,
like emotionally and from a time aspect. And
yeah,
so I expressed those concerns to the mayor and to the city manager at the time. And they were very clear that, family was important and they would support me um, as long as I needed it.
Yeah.
And that if I could come to them and be very direct about what I needed from a family standpoint. And wow, having that kind of leadership and willingness to support you made me be all that much more excited about working for them. And so I signed on. So during throughout the year, I'd work on the sport fishing business and did my parks and recreation duties as the director there in Petersburg. And it was really a great experience.
Yeah.
That was the first time that I became a director and oversaw the cemetery. I now know more about columbariums than anybody should ever know.
I don't even know what that is. What is a
Well, so a columbarium is typically a granite or a marble structure that's built for urns.
Oh,
So what we're finding in the industry of cemeteries nowadays is that access to green space for full burials is pretty limited. And so finding places that we can still have a memorial and you can place your loved ones, but takes up less room is becoming more and more the standard. And so these columbariums are built so that a spouse and their spouse could actually be placed in these niches together and then be covered and then have their names actually engraved on the marble or the granite.
nice. Yeah, you learn about so many random things when you're in Parks and Rec. I want to talk more about your time in Alaska, but I just realized we blew past the halfway point in our conversation. So let me go ahead and play a promo for our facilities maintenance show. This is a show we've been trying to launch all year. It's kind of hit or miss. We're just trying to find really good. Actually, the biggest holdup was I finally hired a full-time booker that just books times to come on the show, that reaches out to superintendents, master arborists, whoever, to come on the facilities maintenance show. So we hired Eunice just a few weeks ago. So now I think we'll be able to launch that show a little more effectively in 2026. But it's the facilities maintenance show every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. So I'll play a little promo for that. And then our Young Professionals Network show has moved to Thursday, 5 p.m. and is run by our two very talented interns out of Pennsylvania, Aiden Tierney and Michael Moreau. So I'll play promos for those two shows, and then we'll come back and finish our conversation with Donnie.
Behind every thriving park, every safe playground, every event-ready field, there's a team working before sunrise and long after sunset. This is Facility Maintenance, the only show created for and by the unsung heroes of parks and recreation. Brought to you by DPRS Media Co., where real work gets real recognition. From restrooms to rec centers, HVAC to turf tech, we go beyond the job site into the heart of operations that keep our communities moving. Our mission? To elevate maintenance teams through stories, solutions, and shared experience. Our vision? A world where every facility crew is seen, valued, and fully supported. Each episode features operators, innovators, and leaders, sharing tools, tech, and tactics that make the impossible look easy. Facility maintenance isn't just a job, it's purpose, it's passion, and now it's a show. Facility Maintenance, where tools meet purpose, where work becomes legacy. On the Daily Parks and Rec Show, we bring you the real stories of tomorrow's professionals, people shaping the future, one idea at a time. Meet the very first DPRS interns to officially host their own segment, Aiden Tierney and Michael Morrow. With curiosity, passion, and a fresh perspective, they're stepping into the spotlight to lead meaningful conversations with today's rising leaders. The Young Professionals Network takes you inside the journeys, challenges, and major wins of young individuals making their mark across industries. From first jobs to bold ventures, every story fuels growth, ambition, and innovation. Each episode brings real conversations, fresh perspectives, and impactful insights created to motivate the next generation of professionals. Whether you're just starting out, exploring new paths, or figuring out your next move, tune in to the Young Professionals Network every Thursday at 5 p.m., only on the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Don't miss it, because your next big idea might be one story away.
All right. So did I hear you correctly when you said you didn't want to live in places with snow and then you find yourself in Alaska? So is there a part of Alaska that doesn't get snow that I don't know about?
No, no, there's not at all.
And 7 years there. So you were up in Alaska for 7 years?
So we actually lived in Alaska for 12 and a half-ish years altogether, because
Wow.
we lived for 6 years in Petersburg, Southeast Alaska.
Mm.
Then we moved to St. Louis area, lived there for a year,
Mm.
and then we moved back to Alaska, to Fairbanks, Alaska. So
Mm.
we went from the bottom of the state pretty much to the very top of the state,
Wow.
with a year in between in St. Louis.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
And so 12, almost 13-ish years altogether in the state of Alaska. I would never give it up.
Yeah.
Those 12 years, 13 years were incredible.
Mm.
Absolutely loved my time in Alaska. The people there are amazing. The views are more stunning than anywhere else I've ever been.
Wow.
In Southeast Alaska, on a sunny day, it is the most beautiful place in the world, in my opinion.
Mm.
Unfortunately, in Southeast Alaska, you only get about 10 or 15 of those sunny days.
Right, right. Well, okay, so describe Alaska, because I know almost everybody has not been to Alaska, but I hear so many great things about it. It's like it's such a wild country. It's just full of mountains, and so maybe describe it to those who haven't been.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that if you take the state of Alaska and you place it over the top of the US, the state itself actually ranges from Seattle all the way down to Florida.
Oh my gosh.
So it's a huge state,
Mhm.
and a lot of times it gets placed on the map and it looks really small, but it's monstrous.
Yeah.
And so that's why you can get, weather in Southeast Alaska that's a rainforest, and the ground is made out of sponges, basically.
Wow.
And then the next moment you're in Fairbanks, Alaska, and it's a tundra, and everything is ice, and gets down to negative 50 degrees. This week, all my friends are texting me, "Oh my gosh, it's 50 degrees right now." And the trees are totally dynamically different
Mm.
from each other. And so you have these different worlds in the state. And so it depends on where you're at about what you're experiencing. Southeast Alaska, salmon fishing, halibut fishing, lumber, like, are some of the major industries. And then you go way up north on the rail belt, and it's gold, and it's oil, and it's coal. And those are the major industries. And at the same time, you've got universities studying all of these things, and the state, all spread out through the whole entire area. And so every single community is different. Their traditions are different. Their expectations about recreation and parks are different. And the way in which they communicate is different as well. And so it's probably one of the most interesting states that I've ever lived in. And the things that I learned there,
Mm.
I don't know that I could have learned anywhere else, because you really have to get extremely creative on how you're going to provide programming and recreation. Southeast Alaska, it's an island. There's only two ways to get into that place, either by boat or plane. That's it. And getting mail there, getting packages there, you don't have UPS, you don't have Amazon. And so if you can get a package within 2 weeks, you're feeling pretty lucky.
Wow.
And so when you're creating these programs and events, you start looking at what you have right in front of you and say, okay, these are the things that I have. What can I make out of it?
Mm.
And so you get super creative. And it was a lot of fun because you start like meeting people on the street. And one of the first questions that you ask them is, hey, what kind of talent do you have? And they're like, Donnie, why are you asking me about my talents? You just met me. And for me, it's like, how can I get you to teach a program for me?
Right. Right. What were some cool stories around that? Did you find anyone that had a little talent that you created the program out of as an example?
Oh, shoot. Yeah, absolutely. Southeast Alaska. I found a guy that just decided he wanted to teach himself to do chainsaw carving.
Mm.
And so we actually taught a chainsaw carving class.
No, that's cool.
Absolutely. And so, I mean, it was awesome because we had our parks guys come in and teach chainsaw maintenance, chainsaw safety, the different types of equipment and clothing you should wear while you're working with chainsaws. And then we had, Forester from the National Forest come in and talk about the different types of lumber that you can get locally and the different types of trees that we had locally and how they would be used for chainsaw carving. And so we used a lot of the different resources that we had locally to be able to teach that class. It wasn't just, one person that had all the knowledge. We had to bring a collective group of people together to be able to teach it. And it was fun. Some of the things that those people created out of these little blocks of wood were pretty incredible. And it was definitely a program that I wanted to do other places. I didn't have the people. Sometimes it's about those connections that you make and the people that are willing to offer those programs. So you have to find other things that people are interested in and want to teach. But yeah, chainsaw carving. Like, who
Wow.
thought that would be a program that you would teach?
That's got to be one of the manliest ways to express yourself artistically with a chainsaw.
Listen, Craig, I know more women
I
who
bet.
teach or do chainsaw carving than men. And the things that they produce are out of this world.
Yeah.
I saw a ram that a lady I know who does chainsaw carving that she taught. Incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
The definition is out of this world. It's really cool.
That's awesome. I never realized, I never really got exposed a lot to chainsaw art or, carving with a chainsaw and stuff. But when Katrina came through and just wiped out some some massive oak trees, they hired some chainsaw, I guess, artists is what you would call them.
Yeah.
And they're still around to this day, these massive old oak trees that just got torn up. And then they just came in there and just made these beautiful masterpieces that are still around since Katrina. They're stunning.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I got to experience both forms of chainsaw carving because when we moved to Fairbanks, one of the largest events of the year was the international ice carving competitions. And so out of our lakes that we had actually in Parks and Recreation, huge blocks of ice would be pulled out, transported to our fairgrounds, and then we would have competitors from all across the world come to Fairbanks, Alaska, and make these monstrous masterpieces.
Wow.
Some of them would be like these big, beautiful stags and water spraying off of the back end of it. And it's so intricate all the way through. If people get the opportunity to go to Fairbanks in February and March, they would be able to see carved slides that are created for the kids, ping pong tables that kids get to play off, miniature golf made out of ice. Like there's all these different activities that these carvers create just for the enjoyment of people that come and visit.
Man, that's fantastic. Making me want to go to Alaska. I know they have a Parks and Rec little association up there.
They do, absolutely. I'm actually the former president of the Alaska Recreation and Parks Association.
Yeah, we're trying to make a tour. I think we might aspirationally we'd like to go to 20. But I think we might hit 12. I think we hit 9 in 2025. So I know we're going to do 12. And one day I'd love to attend that as the Daily Parks and Rec show, just to give me an excuse to go to Alaska.
Well, Craig, you let me know when you want to go, and I'll make sure to get you in contact with all the right people.
Fantastic. When, how many people attend? Is it just a couple hundred or something like that?
No, about 100 is actually what
Yeah.
it is. Because the state's so huge, getting everybody together in one place is rather difficult. This last year, plane flights were actually canceled going into Valdez, where
Mhm.
the conference was going to be. So most of the folks either had to drive in from Anchorage, which was about 6 hours, or
Yeah.
take the ferry to get to Valdez.
Yeah.
And so, it's an interesting adventure every single time that you try to go somewhere in Alaska.
Now, when you first moved there, did you drive all of your stuff there, or you just flew it, or?
So we drove to Bellingham, Washington,
Mhm.
and then drove onto a ferry, and then took a ferry 2.5 days to get to Petersburg.
Oh my gosh, 2.5 days on a ferry?
Yeah, actually, it was wonderful. I loved it.
Fantastic.
The kids in Southeast Alaska, since there's not multiple high schools on one island, they would have to go to different islands to compete. And so they would actually spend, 3 or 4 days sometimes traveling to these different communities to be able to compete
Yeah.
on the ferry system.
That's just part of life up there.
It is.
Just
It's a
normal for
different
them.
world.
All right, so we have a few minutes left. Let's talk about Texas, and Missouri City. What does 2026 look like for you? What you got going on?
2026 is about focus for our department.
Hmm.
It's about setting goals. We are in the process of preparing for our CAPRA reaccreditation,
Mhm.
which is really important to us because that does set our foundation. And that's what we have spent the last 5 years building off of and growing, so that way we could be prepared for that reaccreditation. But also, it's about study and training and making sure that we're providing the most focused, well-planned events and programs
Mm.
for our community. And so that's a big focus of ours. Our We have big projects that we're doing. We're working with our public works department on those. Our capital improvement plan is all set in place. And now we're focusing on how do we strengthen all of our programs and our special events. And this is going to be an interesting year for us,
Mm.
because we have some big things going on. I think everyone in the Parks and Rec world right now is going 250 years since 1776.
Yeah.
What is our 4th of July going to look like?
Mm.
And so that's something that, here in the Houston area that we really have to be focused on, because there's also this big event called the World Cup.
Yes, that was my next question. That's, and we're gonna ask the question a little earlier than normal because the question comes from Tina Spallow over in Jackson County, Missouri, which is also a host of the World Cup, and so is Houston. Her question that she left for you, this is just, there are no coincidences, but she
Yeah.
says, "What is your city doing to prepare to host the World Cup?" And she had no idea that the next guest was also a host city. So why don't you tell us what you're doing for the world? What are y'all doing to prepare for the World Cup, seeing that y'all's a host city?
So I'm going to take it from a different perspective.
Mhm.
So I was telling you guys about the 4th of July.
Mhm.
On July 4th, one of the semifinal games of the World Cup is being held in Houston.
Wow.
And so here we have a scenario where the 250th anniversary of 1776 is happening on the same exact day as one of the largest community events in the world,
Mm.
because we're going to have residents from all across the whole entire world in Houston preparing for this specific event.
Mhm.
And so I know that all of our hotels are going to be completely booked. I know that our public works, our public safety, fire, and police, all of them are looking at how they're going to be prepared for the influx of people into our community.
Mm.
We're a small community. We don't have a major hospital in it. And so if there is a major accident, we know that we're not going to have any support from Houston because Houston is going to be focused completely on the World Cup.
Mm.
Here in Fort Bend County, there's a lot of additional events that are going to be taking place because it's the 250th and because it's July 4th. And so everybody is going to be stretched really thin.
Mm.
And so we have to find a way to be able to celebrate the 4th of July while at the same time recognizing the limits of what we have ahead of us.
Mm.
And we can't do anything small because it's the 250th.
Right. You got to blow it out.
Absolutely. And so there's a lot of planning that's gone into this event, even in the last six months, asking questions like, maybe we celebrate on July 3rd rather than July 4th, which that's a difficult thing to even consider because it's the 250th.
Yeah.
But if you don't have public safety involved, because they're going to be very, very limited on the 4th of July because of this major other event in Houston, how do we address that? And so we're spending a lot of time really planning for the World Cup because we're planning for our 4th of July.
Yeah.
We will still have lots of activities that will be happening. We're going to be partnering with our local soccer organizations to do events and clinics and camps and programs. We're also working with our local. We're going to be working with our local businesses to do watch parties and activities throughout the community because it's going to be a lot of fun. The World Cup is going to be amazing, and we're going to have a ton of people from, like I said, all across the world that'll be here in Missouri City and Sugar Land next to us and Pearland and Houston. And so we're gonna take advantage of it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a great opportunity. It's just gonna take a lot more planning than we normally put, which is why for 2026, we're all about focus. We're all about planning because we know there's some really important things that are coming up this year that we have to take care of.
Well, at least your Latino and Hispanic community is not very passionate about soccer, so they probably won't be paying attention at all.
No, not at all.
That's like a religion to them. It's crazy how much they get into that.
It's going to be good. It's going to be really good. It's going to be a good year.
One of the shows that we create is called the Athletes Commute with Jordan Ziff. She's our host, and she's a was formerly a professional female soccer player that played at the highest level and finished off her career in Brazil. And she was telling me how insanely passionate they are in Brazil and just in Latin America about soccer and the World Cup and that kind of stuff. And so for us, we might think, oh, it's just like a Super Bowl or something. It's like, no, man, this is a
whole
other level.
No. When I lived in North Carolina at the time, the North Carolina women's program was like unstoppable. And their coach, Anson Dorrance, who is also at some point in time definitely involved in the national program. I actually got to meet him and have dinner at his house numerous times. And what experience talking to him about the international flavor that's involved in soccer. As Americans, we don't understand that quite as well as we really should.
Man,
because there's opportunities there. There's so many opportunities there.
Yeah, and that's coming up in just 6 months. That's like tomorrow.
Yes,
it's gonna feel like tomorrow. Okay, so what question do you have for my next guest?
Gosh, what question do I you know what? Let's piggyback on the question about the World Cup, and let's ask, what is a detail that you are really excited about to provide your community when it comes to the 250th anniversary of our independence?
Oh, yes. Excited about for 250th anniversary. Country is 250 years old.
Yeah.
Still a baby, but
still a baby. Definitely 100% a baby.
Right. Yeah, if you've ever been to Europe and seen some of the, I mean, they've got like sidewalks that are, 4 times the age of our country.
Yeah, well, the state of Alaska didn't become a state until the 50s.
Wow.
So, I
That's
mean,
crazy to think about.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Donnie, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I feel like we could just keep going about all this. What I'd like to do is maybe schedule you to come back when you're maybe not right in the midst of it, maybe even after as a recap. But I'd love to just come back and talk more about the World Cup, what y'all are doing.
Yeah.
Maybe something we want to do right after the dust settles.
Yeah, I would enjoy that, Craig, for sure.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, man, look, I appreciate you coming on the show today. You're my second to last. I got one more show in 2025. So glad we squeezed you in. And are you going to Traps by any chance?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. Well, we will be there. We'll have to have you maybe come by the show and give us like a little 15-minute about how Traps is going.
Yeah, for sure. I'm actually going to be presenting a session called The Power of a Mistake at Traps. So I'd love to come by and just talk to you about what that session was like, or and what I shared with our Texas Recreation and Park Society folks.
Deal. Well, I'll make sure once we start booking that show, we usually do about 30, 35 shows per convention. So
yeah,
we'll have you on there and to tell us about your educational program that you have on mistakes.
Yes, I would love it.
Fantastic. Well, man, have a great rest of your week and a great rest of your year, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Craig.
Yep. Take care, Donnie. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye. All right, man. What a great example of where Parks and Rec can bring you in life, all the way from the top of the country to the bottom of the country, from Fairbanks, I think that's where he said, Fairbanks, Alaska, which is all the way at the top of the state, all the way down to the Houston area, which is nearly at the bottom of the country. And just such a robust career path for Donnie. So I really appreciate you coming on and helping me close out the year. So we got one more show tomorrow for the end of the year. Thursday, I think we're taking off. So we're not going to have our regularly scheduled Youth Sports Mastery show, the leadership series. We're going to push all that back, or the YPN show. So we have 3 shows every Thursday typically. But I will see y'all in the following year, where we will have a regularly scheduled Tuesday show about the military. And this is going to be every Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, with our host, John Prue, who has been in military Parks and Rec. We're calling the show On the Front Line, the Military Rec Show. So we had kind of a teaser show, I think 2 weeks ago, just to kind of, get it going, make the big announcement. But starting the first Tuesday in January, it's going to be 52 shows from there on out, all about the military Parks and Rec, which is quite unique. I am learning so much about how Parks and Rec runs on military bases that I really didn't even consider. Unless you're in it, you're just not even aware of it. So that's going to be a great show. We're also working with Outdoor Link to create a smart cities show. It's going to be called Smart Parks, and it's where a lot of this technology that's just exploding in every direction, whether it be robotics or AI or being able to control everything through your smartphones and having all your devices and water fountains and parks and parking lot lights and ball field lights all connected. And it just makes running your Parks and Rec departments just so much more efficient. And so you can just maximize the amount of time that you spend on things that matter, not that it doesn't matter that you have to get out of bed on a Sunday at midnight because some coach forgot to turn the lights off. But now you can just on the flip of a cell phone turn park lights off and on. And so we're creating a show with them. That's going to be really cool. So we got a lot of good stuff coming out this year. This has been a great 2025. Thinking that I started the Daily Parks and Rec Show around this time last year in 2024, kind of December 2024 is when we kind of kicked it off. And now we're approaching our 400th live recording for the Daily Parks and Rec Show in only 1 year. And it went from me to, I think we're pushing 20 people working on this project, about 9 of us full time. And then with all our other show hosts and all our other contributors, and I'm not even counting like the people that write articles for our newsletter. By the way, if you're not on our newsletter, it is just such a wealth of knowledge and wisdom that is shared by Parks and Rec professionals across the country. So hit me up on LinkedIn and I can send you the link to make sure that you're on the newsletter. It goes out every Sunday at like 5 a.m. And it kind of recaps some of the shows that we host every week. But then we pull articles from all over the country from people kind of like Donnie that will write an article for either the NRPA magazine or some of their state magazine, and we just highlight what's going on across the country through those articles and such. And then we kind of give an update of what we're doing in the Daily Parks and Rec Show and how that's going. So lots of stuff happened in 2025. I can't believe it's already been a whole year, but we got 1 day left. Tomorrow is the 31st. So hopefully everybody has their New Year celebrations planned, and everybody be careful, party responsibly, or maybe just party irresponsibly. You probably have earned it. But that's all I have for y'all today. Thank y'all so much for attending the Daily Parks and Rec Show, and thank y'all so much for the love and support that we've gotten this whole year. It's just really been amazing, and I couldn't have done it without all the encouragement and just the content is really y'all's content. I'm literally just showing up, setting up all the mics and stuff, coordinating everything, but then the story to be told, it's y'all's story. You know, it's just as Donnie showed, it's Donnie's story, and it's their life experiences that we just really love to highlight and share with the country. So really appreciate everybody and all that they've given to us to be able to do what we're doing in the Daily Parks and Rec Show. So anyway, appreciate you guys. Love y'all. I will see y'all tomorrow for our final show of the year. And everybody have a happy new year. Thanks a lot. Bye.
They say it's Just Rec. Just Rec, where kids learn to try again. Just Rec, where confidence begins. Where teamwork, effort, and fun matter more than trophies. It's not about perfection. It's about participation. It's not just rec. It's where kids learn to love the game and themselves. It's just rec until they learn teamwork for life. It's just rec, but it's everything to them. It's more than rec. It's a movement. It's just rec until you realize it's shaping the next generation. Together, we're not just running programs. We're building a culture of confidence, connection, and community. Join us.